All right, everyone, welcome. We are excited you're here to join us for our first webinar introducing the Yolo Food Hub. This meeting will be recorded and we'll follow up with an email that includes resources, a link to the recording and materials that you've seen here, and also ways to stay engaged with the Yolo Food Hub project team. So first, as a little introduction, I'd like us all to introduce each other in the chat. So if you could provide your name, organization, and what excites you most about the Yolo Food Hub. And that's kind of a way that we can start this conversation and get to know one another and who's in the room. And now I'd like to introduce Valley Vision's CEO, Evan Schmidt, who will provide an overview of Valley Vision's regional approach to the food and ag sector.
All right, thanks, Grace. And Grace, thanks for all the work that you've done in putting this together. Like Grace said, I'm Evan Schmidt. I'm the CEO of Valley Vision. Valley Vision is a nonprofit and civic leadership organization in Sacramento, but regionally facing. And we're here to advance livable communities across our region. And we do that by creating economic prosperity, social equity, and environmental sustainability. And why are we here today? We're here to introduce the Yolo Food Hub project partners and share some of our early results. And we're really excited that you all came in to be here with us, and we're excited to share what we've learned. The Yolo Food Hub is a new facility that will aggregate, process, store, and distribute farm produce grown in Yolo County and surrounding areas on behalf of farmers in the area. The Yolo Food Hub will expand food production and distribution channels in Yolo County and the Greater Sacramento Region. At the same time, it will improve healthy food access, stabilize food markets, and increase employment and job training opportunities. Food hubs help connect farmers and food entrepreneurs with regional markets and institutional buyers, such as schools, hospitals, casinos, and food banks to access source-identified, locally grown products. The funds from this U.S. Department of Agriculture grant will be used to generate recommendations and a funding strategy to establish and sustain the new Yolo County Food Hub. The Yolo Food Hub will support a more diverse, local, and equitable food system. It will also tie into a number of regional efforts that are going on and support an equitable, resilient, and thriving economy. So I'll take this moment to talk about just a few of those regional efforts. The first one is the Sacramento Region Prosperity Strategy. The Prosperity Strategy is our region's roadmap to inclusive economic growth and development. And it's also our region's federally recognized comprehensive economic development strategy. A thriving, inclusive, and resilient food and ag sector and food system is identified as one of the core strategies in our prosperity strategy, and it's clearly a major priority for our region. This is also enabling us to apply for this new state program called the Community Economic Resilience Fund. Our prosperity strategy is the foundation for inclusive economic growth in our region, and the SURF is going to really open up the possibility for statewide investment into our core priorities by supporting inclusive economic development growth in our region. This is an exciting new initiative. There's going to be $600 million statewide to support projects, and Valley Vision is heading up an effort here in our region to make sure that we get some of that investment. We're excited about that, and please reach out if you have questions. Another regional effort that this project ties closely into is the 2021 Sacramento Region Food System Action Plan. This is a plan that was developed by the Sacramento Region Community Foundation and Valley Vision in order to look at our roadmap for resilient, inclusive, and thriving food systems. This food hub ties closely again to the core priorities that are identified within this plan. And then finally, another regional project is the Coordinated Regional Opportunity Program. This is a grant from the Department of Conservation to strengthen rural communities to support ag by looking at the types of infrastructure that's needed, like transportation, broadband, and food hubs. This is another exciting opportunity that's going to help advance our priorities in agriculture and make sure that we have an inclusive and thriving region. So with that, I hope you enjoy the webinar. We're going to get into the details of the project and learn more about the survey that was put out to growers. Before we do that, I'm excited to introduce, to queue up a video from Supervisor Don Saylor. Don Saylor was unfortunately unable to attend today, but he's been a major champion for this program. He and Supervisor Barajas were the two leads to support the investment of economic recovery funds for the hub. He's a long-term champion for food and ag in the region, He was board chair during the original SACOG Food Hub study. And in addition to supporting the viability of agriculture and promoting the assets of UC Davis in food system innovations, he's also dedicated to addressing the issues of food and nutrition insecurity. And if you're a resident of Yolo County like I am, you will often see him providing guidance and leadership and really just the warmth that he brings to every room in community events around the county. So with that, we'll turn to the video, and thanks again for being here.
All right, thank you, Evan. And here's the recorded video.
Welcome to Valley Vision's Yolo Food Hub webinar. I'm Don Saylor, a member of the Yolo County Board of Supervisors representing District 2. A few years ago, in 2014, a Sacramento Area Council of Governments economic development study outlined a business plan and the viability of a Sacramento regional food hub. That came after years of work in the Rural-Urban Connection Strategy led by David Shabazian. As chair of the SACOG Board of Directors in 2015, we began exploration of how to turn this report into a reality, and we completed the Rural-Urban Connection Strategy Yolo County case study. The greatest challenge we faced was how to implement a new food hub in Yolo County and how that would be funded. As the Yolo County Board of Supervisors began to identify investment opportunities through COVID relief fund availability, we looked for investments that will make a significant impact on long-standing challenges in our community, transformational changes, and those that will support future job creation, frankly, have mutual benefits in food security and connecting our agricultural economy to regional markets. This was a unique opportunity to leverage past studies into a transformational project with long-term positive benefits. I've enjoyed working with Supervisor Angel Barajas, the 2022 chair of our Board of Supervisors, as together we advocated for Yolo County to invest $2 million of our American Rescue Plan funding in the Yolo Food Hub project. Numerous benefits will come to our communities in Districts 5 and 2, and frankly, the whole county. This project will result in a regional food hub, allowing for us to support aggregation, processing, storage, and distribution of farm produce grown in Yolo County. It'll provide pandemic relief for local farmers and farm workers, improve regional food security, increase employment and job training opportunities, stabilize food markets, and create an opportunity for us to bring Yolo grown produce, the best in the world, to local institutions, including schools, hospitals, and incarceration facilities. I want to thank Valley Vision for their hard work throughout this time for the past 10 years on this effort. I'm delighted this project has so many collaborative partners. We look forward to seeing this project in action, and your work today to inform, educate, and engage is a very significant part of the process. Thanks all. I look forward to the conversation.
All right, thank you all for listening in on that. Hopefully it wasn't too scratchy. I'm not sure if you were all able to hear that. Now I would like to turn it over to Valley Vision's Managing Director, Trish Kelly, who is going to provide additional overview of the hub.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Grace and Evan and Supervisor Saylor, for the introduction to this wonderful project. And we're excited to see so many people here today and to just see all the enthusiasm, the energy, and the momentum that is here, and the great collaboration and partnerships that have gotten us all to this point. I'm particularly pleased myself because I worked closely on this project for SACOG back in 2014 and 15 with the RUX project. And so it's very gratifying to see the leadership bringing this project to fruition. So as you've heard by the statements previously, the Food Hub aggregates, processes, and distributes fresh food on behalf of farmers in the area. Now, the thing about a food hub is that what's unique or special that we're trying to do here is not just aggregate, package, and distribute, but we want to add more value through the processing aspects. And that will allow our growers and producers through the Food Hub to really customize products that meet the wide range of needs of many different kinds of purchasers in the region. And it really helps provide an avenue, especially for smaller growers and food producers, into larger markets, regional markets, and markets that are needed by institutional buyers such as schools and hospitals, and food banks that need larger volumes of food that are harder for smaller producers to meet unless they have the asset of a hub. But the hub is an intermediary that works with both customers and producers. And their goal is really to create more opportunities to localize our food system with sourcing locally and keeping our money into our community and creating more jobs and more revenues, and using the benefits of all this purchasing to drive our regional economy. So as noted, the Food Hub study builds on the work that we're doing now, builds on a prior study, but it's happened over many years of building. And as you heard Supervisor Saylor say, what brought the attention of the Food Hub to the Board of Supervisors was the pandemic, knowing that we needed to build more resiliency in our food system. And so several partners mobilized to actually begin to develop the project in Esparto in Capay Valley. And you're going to hear more about that from the partners in a few minutes. So this process really, the investment of the Board of Supervisors is to actually support site acquisition and begin the development of the project. Next slide, please, Grace. So the project timeline is that we received a grant, Valley Vision received a grant from USDA to help with the planning for the next phase, the business plan. And this includes the site acquisition that's underway right now, along with the planning and the feasibility study and a financing plan, hoping to get into construction next year and fully operational in 2024. But the plan is to develop the project in phases. This allows opportunity to scale and to bring more partners and customers into the system and build the capacity of the growers. So this is envisioned to be a long-term investment project. So the project activities that we're underway with now, and we are very grateful, I want to note, to USDA to provide this planning grant for us for our regional food resiliency, is to survey local farmers to determine their capacity and operational needs. So what are the services that really need to be provided in the hub and the connections with the customers? So this is the process that we're engaged in right now, and this is what we're going to hear today, our initial survey findings. Then we're surveying organizations that purchase at the large scale to determine their specific needs. There's a lot that needs to change to align purchasing agreements to focus more on regional procurement. And so we want to really build upon the knowledge that we have to go get more specific information. And then we're going to be developing the marketing and financial plan to reach these institutional buyers. We have several institutions like UC Davis Health and several of our schools that are buying locally, but how do we really get this to scale across the region? And then we're going to help support our growers to understand how to engage in growing for institutional markets so that their capacity is built. And then this will result in recommendations and a funding strategy to establish, to scale, and to stay in the Food Hub over the coming years. So I want to just note that there's a lot of new funding coming in from state and federal sources. And so we've been working with our existing and new partners to try to identify funding sources that will help drive the hub. One final thing to make is that, and I saw some questions in the chat about, can this be beyond Yolo County? So absolutely, and you'll hear from Lon Hatamiya, our partner who conducted the farmer survey, that this hub is meant to be a resource regionally and even beyond the region for not only growers, but customers, and then building up a network of supporting food hubs. This was always something that we envisioned in the original study. So Spork Food Hub and Capay Valley Farm Shop are existing partners. You'll hear briefly about them and their role, but we know that there are food hubs in Placer County, and there's emerging food hubs in Yuba County. So this is really envisioned, as Supervisor Saylor mentioned, to be a network of hubs across the region. And the more capacity we have, the more marketing power, and the more we can strengthen our agricultural economy and provide access to all of the people in the region that want to grow and consume locally. So with that, I'll turn it back to Grace. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm next. Okay, first I'd like to introduce our partners. So Maria McVarish is a community member and been very actively involved in this work for a long time. So Maria, turn it to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm an architect and an academic, and I've been working with the Esparto and Cape Valley communities for the last 10 years or so to kind of rethink the future of Esparto through the train station, the historic train station there. And that's also where the Cape Valley Farm Shop is located.
Thanks, Maria. Next, I'd like to introduce Jim Durst, who is well known across not only the region, but I'd say the country for Durst organic growers, but also with New Season Development Corporation. Jim?
Yeah, well, hello everybody and welcome today. I'm a member, president of New Season Community Development Corporation, and we're a nonprofit located in Esparto, California. Our mission is to serve as a catalyst for rural community vitality and prosperity. Formed in 2007, we've spent the first 15 years restoring vacant and abandoned real estate in our historic downtown district. Our volunteer board has been hands-on doing the dirty work no one else seems to be willing to do, taking on projects deemed impossible. New Season is now taking steps towards restoring the agricultural vitality that was once the economic and social backbone of our rural community. We believe the Yolo Food Hub is an important step in this restoration process. Our proposal to the County of Yolo for funding was the first step in towards acquiring a site, and we are grateful for the support of our county supervisors and staff. They are truly forward thinkers. We are also fortunate to be walking this pathway into the future with so many great partners. You will meet them here today. I'm also owner with my wife Deborah of Durst Organic Growers, a farming operation north of Esparto. Our farm sees as its mission to set a place at the table of nutrition and abundance for all people, not just the well-off. Aside from our normal markets, we also support and supply food banks, schools, nonprofits, hospitals, churches, and other organizations involved in food justice and nutrition to underserved communities. We see small, large, and medium-sized farms as being the untapped resources and colleagues with us in this endeavor. We envision the Yolo Food Hub to be the vehicle to accomplish this mission of redesigning how we grow, distribute the bounty of agriculture, of our agricultural region to all tables. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. That's very inspiring. And, you know, what you talk about underscores the multiple benefits and needs that we can meet through this project. So thank you, Jim. I'd like to introduce Tracy Harding, who's the general manager of Cape Valley Farm Shop.
Hello, everyone. Cape Valley Farm Shop is a farmer and community-owned food hub that markets and distributes exceptional food from more than 40 small and mid-scale farmers and ranchers in Yolo County. We offer harvest to order vegetables, fruit, herbs, cut flowers, as well as pastured meat and eggs, dried fruits and nuts, olive oil, grains, honey, and other value-added products from the farms. In addition to offering the best Yolo County grown food to businesses, we offer shipping, conditioned storage, truck rental, packaging, and transportation services to our farm partners. Also established in 2007, we bring 15 years of operational experience and a staff with extensive food system experience to the Yolo Food Hub project. The Yolo Food Hub will enable us to better serve the farmers and ranchers that we represent, as well as to offer purchasing options to food service, restaurant, food hub, e-commerce, and grocery partners that we're currently working with. We're excited to be involved in the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Lots of capacity you can see the hub is bringing together. Next, I'd like to introduce Jacob Weiss, who's General Manager of Sport Food Hub in Davis.
Hey everyone, it's good to be here. It's good to see a couple farmers and school districts that we work with on the call. So we are Sport Food Hub, and I'm Jacob, the general manager. Our food hub is based in Davis. We are owned by Fiery Ginger Farm, which has been around for 7 years and is based in West Sacramento. Our primary markets are K through 12 school districts in the Sacramento region. And we also work with a dozen or so farmers in the area to supply those markets. I think our values and goals are really twofold. We want to support farmers who might not otherwise be able to meet that wholesale market and be able to work with smaller growers to bring them a new market. And also to kind of do some of that technical assistance and wholesale preparedness that sometimes needs to happen to get a grower into that scale. But we also see a really important role in school nutrition and being able to provide kids with the same high quality produce that might be on the menu at Mulvaney's to be able to get that into a salad bar in a district and really change kids' diets starting at a young age with the best local produce available. I think as far as the Yolo Food Hub, we're really just excited to be able to work closer with Tracy at Cape Farm Shop and see more resources come to the growers and the other people working in this region to kind of like lift up all the ships and improve the well-being of all folks in the community.
Thank you so much, Jacob. And now I'd like to introduce Thomas, right? Thomas Nelson, who's the Director of Kitchen Table Advisor, but also has long roots in the Cape Valley. Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Trish. It's great to be here representing Kitchen Table Advisors as a partner working on Yolo Food Hub. I direct our work in the Yolo Sacramento region. And our core program is providing in-depth personalized business advising to 100 farmer and rancher leaders across Northern California. We prioritize working with communities that have historically been excluded from resources within agriculture. So namely BIPOC, women, low income, immigrant, LGBTQ farmers and ranchers. But in addition to the business advising, we collaborate on larger ecosystem building projects that increase sustainable small farms and ranches access to land, capital, and markets. So partnering with farmer-owned food hubs is, the examples of how we've engaged to create a more friendly ecosystem for farmers. And we see the Yolo Food Hub as a critical piece of regional infrastructure that will support regenerative farmers and ranchers to have thriving livelihoods and community-based economies with more equitable distribution of power and resources. Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Now I'd like to introduce Zane Hatfield, Program Director at Yolo Food Bank.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zane Hatfield. I'm the Director of Programs with Yolo Food Bank. As many of you probably know, Yolo Food Bank is the food bank in Yolo County, and we've been around for 52 years now. And we're really excited for the Yolo Food Hub as it aligns directly with our mission of developing an equitable and sustainable food system in Yolo County. And the Food Hub is really, we're excited about it because it's going to aid us in achieving our mission by securing a steady supply of locally produced and nutritious food to Yolo Food Bank. In addition, Yolo Food Bank has worked with local growers to source produce since our inception in 1970. And having additional opportunities for supporting local growers and producers, we find that that's going to benefit our community as well as those facing food insecurity in Yolo County. So us here at Yolo Food Bank, we're really excited about this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Zane. And I'm going to introduce Lon Hatamiya, President and CEO of Hatamiya Group. And Lon is the consultant that's working with us on the project. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Lon, and then let you segue into the survey findings. But I just want to note for everybody, I think this is an incredibly special and important project. And you can see from the passion and the dedication and the skills and expertise of everybody that's involved with this project, what this can mean for our community and our region. And and that we're just very happy to have so many of you that are going to partner and work with us to advance this project. So Lon, I'll turn it over to you now. Thank you.
Trish, thank you very much. I can't tell you how honored I am to be a part of this team. As you have seen, this is an outstanding group of partners as we focus on really a need for our region. Let me give you very briefly my background and why I'm assisting and heading up this analysis. I'm a third generation family farmer from Yuba and Butte counties. I've also served at the highest levels at USDA and at state government. I headed up the Ag Marketing Service and then moved on to the Foreign Ag Service at USDA. And then I returned back to California where I was the Secretary of Technology, Trade and Commerce for California. And so much of my career has been focused on food systems and improving the distribution and certainly a movement of food throughout not only the country, but also the globe. So this is a fantastic opportunity to continue that effort. Let me highlight just a couple of things before I turn to the survey. We were very pleased with the results from the survey. The survey included about 30 questions that went out to over 100 growers in the region. Again, I know there was a question raised, is this just Yolo County? No, we reached out to about 7 or 8 county region to solicit responses to our survey. And we got a fantastic response rate. We got about 45% response rate, which is really on the high side for surveys. Generally, surveys you're lucky to get from 5 to 25% response. And I think the response rate was so high and positive because of the enthusiasm and support that we have in our region. Let me now turn to the survey results, and I'm going to highlight those questions, and let me share that with you really clearly. Can all of you see the questions and the survey? So I'm going to go through these very quickly for you. And as I said, there were 30 questions that we posed, and we received 49 responses. And the first one was a simple one: what do you produce? And the vast majority, as you see here, nearly 90% produce fruits, nuts, grains, or vegetables. Others, 27%, produce some form of livestock, and an equal amount in terms of dairy, and certainly other commodities, including olive oil, flowers, and a number of other things that I'll be happy to share the results, summary results with you at a later stage. That's the other thing I wanted to mention to you. I'm going to be summarizing all of these results and putting them together as a executive summary to be hopefully shared with everybody that's on today's call. So what I'm doing today is just going over these very quickly. Question number 2, what was the size of your operation? As you can see here, the number of acres, number of livestock, number of commodities. I think this is kind of a misleading, as it shows number of acres is 594. We had a number of large farms that responded, but the vast majority were under 15 acres. And instead of using an average number, the median was 15. So 50% of the respondents were below 15 acres, and the 50% were above. So the number of livestock, similarly, that I think the average is a little higher. They're generally a focus on smaller farmers. Number of commodities, you see 122 average here, but the median was 7. So most farmers that answer this are producing on, around 7 products. Number of employees, the average was 8, but again, the median was only 2. So we're talking about small farmers farming on less than 15 acres throughout the region. Let me move to the next question, which I think is also an important one, is what type of business do you operate? And as you can see, the vast majority were single family sole proprietorships, and with a mix of corporations and multifamily partnerships that made up the respondents. Question 4, and this is an important one, and do you identify as one of these groups? This was an interesting response. We've got 58% were women-owned, but keep in mind only 31 out of the 49 answered this question. But again, this is it highlights the fact that we have a number of women-owned farmers within the region, as well as BIPOC farmers, African-American, Asian-American, Hispanic or Latinx farmers, and the vast majority answered other. This is a question that arose earlier, I think, in the comments. Where are you located? And again, here, the vast majority, obviously, were in Yolo County, but we had a number from Solano County, Sacramento County, Sutter County, Yuba County had a nice response, and we even got one response from Siskiyou County. So we had a broad range in Northern California of growers responding to the need. Another very important one is, do you own or lease your land? And you can see here the vast majority own, 61% own their land, about 18% lease land, and then there's about 20% a combination of both owning and leasing their land. And this is an important question because it follows on to a subsequent question that we had about increasing the amount that you can produce. This is an important question, is how do you currently market your products? You may ask the question is why the need for a food hub? And I think this answers it very directly. As you can see, the vast majority that answered, they market their products currently direct to consumer, farm stand. Another large number, nearly 40% market to farmers markets, and about 28% currently are going to food hubs, and I presume that's KP the farm shop as well as Spork. Grocery stores about 25%, and community supported agriculture about 23%. And there was a mix of others of how they distribute food distribution companies, institutional buyers, and such. And so that's an important aspect of what we were trying to determine. Question 8 is, do you currently market your products within the local region, Yolo County and the Sacramento region? And again, a vast majority did. And this is one of the challenges that we found. And again, I co-authored the SACOG report that Trish mentioned before. And at that time, we found that there was a small percentage of what's being produced in the region actually stayed in the region. And this is encouraging to see that folks that are producing, at least on the smaller scale, are providing their product into the region. Another 40% product provided outside the region, and even some were shipping out to national locations. Question 9, again, very important. What challenges do you currently face in getting your product to market or expanding production? And again, the most important aspect here is market access or limited ability to access a market. And I think that's really an important aspect of what the food hub can provide. Again, another high one was access to labor, 45%. Another high constraint is access to adequate water supply. And then also state and local regulation and food safety were also high on the list of constraints. Just move these back again so you can see the bars here. Question 10 related to, if you're a livestock or meat producer, how do you currently slaughter your livestock? And where do you process meat? This answer was a challenge for most because there are very few USDA approved facilities in our region. And this is certainly an issue that needs to be addressed as we move forward. Question 11, how might the food hub bolster your business? And again, I think this is an important to note because the vast majority of respondents answered this question. And the vast majority said greater market access, access to new markets. Again, 62% said they would love to see new markets. 40, almost 50% differentiated marketing opportunities beyond what they're currently doing. Development of new products, including fresh, semi-products, processed, and value added. That's an important aspect. And an important aspect of a food hub is also collaboration with other producers through aggregation, production, cooperation, marketing, and other like-minded sort of services, which we'll hit upon in just a minute. But I think that's an important aspect that hopefully you go away from this survey knowing that growers need that collaboration to increase their market. Question 12. Again, the food hub is not only going to serve as an aggregator and distributor, but what other types of services can it provide, or what else other types of services are needed? You could see here, there's a mix of things that people mention: the contracting, further processing, packaging of their product, value added, certainly marketing services and expanding their market. Commercial kitchen also had a large percentage of respondents. Business planning, insurance, agricultural supply are a little less, but certainly needed by many of the smaller growers that responded. Question 13 was also an important one too. As we're talking about a food hub, we're also talking about potentially the Yolo Food Hub being a hub with a potential for spokes around the region. So as we see here, about 58% said they would be willing to ship anywhere to 20 to 50 miles to the food hub. A lesser percentage, nearly 40%, said less than 20 miles. And then certainly folks were willing to do it much further, but much less in terms of the numbers, up from 50 to 100 and 100 miles or more. So again, this is a locally centralized need in terms of a radius of about 50 miles, which in that 50-mile radius to Esparto, or any of our counties in this region, certainly encompasses quite a few growers. Question 14, what specialized storage capacities would you require at the food hub? Again, most would love to see cold storage. Freezer storage came certainly behind that, as well as dry storage, and hydro cooling is another need from the respondents. Question 15 is another one that I think is critical to most in order to expand job training or educational opportunities are also important. And we asked the question, would you like those, and what would you like the food hub to provide? And as you can see here, business services in terms of accounting, logistics, strategic planning, information technology, about 65% responded that they needed that. Nearly 44% further processing information and knowledge, and certainly production and any number of other ones that were smaller percentage responses. This is an important question too, is if the food hub allowed you to extend your market reach, would you increase your crop or livestock production? And 100% of the respondents said yes. Then again, that's only 30 that responded to that question, but they responded in many different ways. And over what period of time? Many folks said, anywhere from 1 to 2 years. But with regard to the answer to that question, increase production, what might constrain your ability to expand your production? And again, this harkens back to the question I asked earlier about in terms of available land and whether you own or lease your land. A major challenge, however, is available labor. We're all faced with a labor shortage, especially in terms of farm workers and in terms of other farm assistants. Available water, as we're seeing, we're in one of the worst drought seasons this state has ever occurred. That's going to be a challenge. And to a lesser extent, available land and energy costs. And then several of the questions that followed is, how can the food hub best connect with smaller disadvantaged growers to market its services? And there were a number of answers to these. They were focused on, the most needy, the folks that are serviced by food banks throughout the region. Also, the determination of BIPOC farmers throughout the region. How can you assist those in increasing their opportunities and options? And again, follow-up question, in addition to your own, what community you would like the food hub to benefit? I think I just mentioned those, the most in need within our community. Again, does your business currently support underserved communities? It was about a 50-50 split about yes and no. I think most of the yes answers were they were currently supplying some of their supply to food banks and other organizations in need within the region. And I think those that answered no said that they'd be willing to do it with a better option to provide. We're also very concerned about retaining jobs within the agricultural sector. So we asked the question, do you think your business participation in food will help retain jobs? And again, vast majority said absolutely yes. And I think, again, that's related to not only the current employees that they have, but also the ability to expand their operations would certainly enable them to even employ more if there was available labor that was accessible within the region. And again, another question we asked is how might participation in the Food Hub lead to new employment opportunities in your business? And again, I think most answered the fact that they would create new jobs if they were able to expand their production and the land that they're producing upon. So I think that that is a good indication that the Food Hub can lead to increased opportunities in employment. We asked a series of questions too. Was your business negatively impacted by not only COVID, but also by wildfires and other natural disasters over the last couple of years? And interestingly enough, most businesses that answered said they were not impacted terribly by the COVID pandemic. They did have to sort things around in terms of where they were distributing their product, but they were able to continue to maintain many of their markets throughout the last couple of years. And then again, a number were negatively impacted by not only wildfires, but certainly by drought, and others by air quality, and to other natural disasters to some extent. Again, as I mentioned before, an important component of the Food Hub is collaborating with other businesses and individuals. And question number 27 asked that, and certainly a vast majority were very positive in terms of the importance of the collaboration aspect. And again, we asked the question about, did your business have a policy with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion? I think a number said that they would if they had access to those marketplaces. And I think that is to be developed and potentially supported by the efforts of the Food Hub. Question 29, is your business certified organic? It was about half and half there. And about another 40% of those that said no said they are interested, but they would be, it would be determinant upon the markets that they'd be selling into. And I think that pretty much summarizes it. And again, you know, we had a number of other comments from folks, and we also asked for, you know, their participation as it moves forward. But as you can see here, we got a great response on a number of the issues that we thought would be a focus of the Food Hub. And I think we would like to continue to analyze these results and come up with some answers in the business plan as we move forward. I know that there were some questions posed. I don't know if that at this point it's appropriate to try to answer some of those.
Yes, Lon, for sure. And I also want to note that Jacob made a comment in the chat about anybody particularly that's wanting to work on school Food Hub related work, be in touch with him. So Lon, thanks for that great overview. And we think we have some growers on the call too. So as Lon mentioned, you know, we're interested in continuing to get any further input while we finalize this phase of the project. Grace, do you have some comments that you see that we can pull forward?
There was just one question asked if we'll be able to see the results before the executive summary, but I think the executive summary is kind of where we're going to have a majority of the results in the analysis. So we'll be sure to send that out to everyone who registered for this meeting once it's ready.
And one last comment I'll say is that this is only the first of a couple of surveys that we'll be doing. I think Trish mentioned earlier, we'll be doing a survey of institutional buyers within the region. And I think that'll be the next step to not only know who our suppliers are, but also who our buyers will be.
Yes, and just to affirm again, the statement that this is an opportunity for lots of partnerships, lots of collaboration, lots of opportunities to connect with food hubs in other parts of the region or outside the region, and emerging hubs that are happening, such as in Yuba County. So we really look forward to the opportunity to hear from everybody. And if we invite some questions now, if you don't have any, I know it's a lot to kind of absorb. We'll be answering questions, continuing to get input after the webinar, of course, and we'll send the information out, but wanted to just see if anybody had any specific questions for Lon. And so also we invite your input back to us, like after we as a team reviewed the research that and the survey results that Lon had done, we kind of talked about what's behind some of the findings. So the way Lon stratified the average versus the median size of farms, we're really interested in some of the demographics and the responses that way too, as well as the services that are needed. And we've done a lot of research in the body of work about the kind of services that food hubs provide, but we really want to make sure that the services are targeted to the needs of our own community. So let's see. Lon, there are a few questions here. Let's see. Could someone describe how the food hub might operate on a daily and a weekly basis? Lon, do you want to take that one? That might be beyond the survey results, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think we anticipate the food hub to be operating year round. So as I listed, as we saw the various services that would be required, obviously during growing seasons, it would be an aggregation, distribution, potentially processing facility. But we're also hoping at some point to develop alternative lines where there may be some flash freezing and other processing that enable us to continue to market throughout beyond growing seasons. But for the most part in this region, and I had this discussion with Jim Durst the other day, we could potentially be growing different things in different months out of the year, almost 12 months out of the year. So in terms of daily and weekly, I think the sky is really the limit. The number of products that we can produce and supply will really dictate where that heads, but also based upon some of the other needs in terms of services, in terms of education, in terms of accounting, in terms of information technology, those things that can be provided year round. And that's based upon part of the structure that we put together in the previous SACOG report, but we anticipate that also to be a service or a range of services to be provided here.
Yeah, Lon, what you mentioned about the seasonality, the original study looked at the demand from consumers at different times of the year and how the growers can begin to realign some of maybe they're growing to meet some of those community needs. So there's, like you said, lots of opportunities to scale. And also as we go more into processing and customized kind of work, that gives opportunities for new product development. That the goal, of course, is that the hub is not only operating all the time, but that does scale. I have a couple more questions. That first of all, there is an opportunity to contribute further to survey questions. And it says, is the survey preliminary to developing a long-range business plan and strategic plan? Yes, the data, right, Lon, is giving us the input for that. And I want to note that we have a lot of information from the original study, so we have a good foundation to work from. But Lon, do you want to further comment on the survey data?
Oh, without a doubt, all of the survey results will feed into our ultimate development of our plan and our business plan and our marketing plan. One of the beauties of this is we had such a fantastic response. We can identify growers, specific growers, and the mix of their commodities that would certainly make up the food hub as we move forward. We would like to reach out to even more. I know that we reached out to others that didn't have the time to fill out the survey, but we're very enthusiastic about participating into the future. Again, we welcome your continued response to this process. And again, this is the survey. It will serve as a foundation for what we're going to create. But more than that, we hope to continue to interact with all of you as we go through the process.
Thank you, Lon. And I think there's time maybe for one more question, because we do want to get a little bit more of your input, but there was a question about other food hubs that we're looking at as operating models beyond our own local hubs. We are going to be looking at some other sites. I mean, many of us have been, we've been studying this for a while and looking at other areas, but we do have some hubs and operating models that we want to go look at. And maybe Thomas, if you want to just quickly weigh in on that and let us know you're thinking about that.
I mean, I think we're inspired. I mean, there's like hundreds of food hubs across the country. So just to say that we're kind of in community, like have been, like, as Trish said, part of that community for a long time now. I would say that there's some, I mean, Jacob mentioned, Spork and Farm Shop are existing doing aggregation distribution. I think we're really interested in understand the processing. There is an emergent effort called the ARC in the Bay Area that we want to go visit. That's, I think, working with hospitals. And yeah, so those are a couple ideas right off, that we'll be looking further into.
And please let us know if you have ideas that, we work with a network of partners across the state and we work with USDA, but this is all a learning process. So we're all very interested in any input you have too. I'm going to just note that we have more questions in the chat. We'll get back to everybody with those. But yes, the Food Hub will purchase from farmers, lots of different ways that we can structure things. And that's why this input is really important. So Lon, I want to thank you for just great recap on the results and look forward to seeing everybody on the next survey update. And I'm going to turn it over to Grace so we can do a Mentimeter exercise now.
All right, thanks, Trish. So I put the link in the chat just now. For those of you who are on the phone, we have a exercise for you to provide any suggestions or solutions, partners, funding opportunities, or ways that you'd like to stay engaged. And in order to access that, you'll just go to menti, MENTI.com. And the code there is 1563-0673. Again, that's 1563-0673. And once you get to that, you'll see the question. And once those suggestions or ideas are put in, and we'll see them up on the screen here. And also following this exercise, we'll have a QR code that you all can scan that'll send you to a survey that you can also indicate your interest in getting involved or how you could help support the activities of the Hub. All right, we have a lot of excitement here. Exciting opportunities in Esparto in the Valley. Yes, this is one of the priority recommendations included in the 2021 Sacramento Region Food System Action Plan. So that had mentioned creating, a network of food hubs. And we've talked about that regional approach and how all these other food hubs can connect as part of a bigger network. I do want to note these Mentimeter responses are anonymous. So if you'd like to stay engaged specifically, then just hold off a couple minutes until we have that QR code where you can put in your email address and info, or if you want to put it in here, then that would be great. But otherwise, I don't have any indication of what the responses are tied to.
I do want to note, Grace, that in the chat, I saw some great comments from our Yuba County team. Lots of people on the call today. We're really excited about that. We're just really looking forward to working with the network of partners across the community too. So. And thanks to everybody who are offering to help and be a resource. It's really, you know, we're all in this together to create a really strong food system that serves everybody. As Jim said, every farm to every fork, basically. So it's really an opportunity that we're very privileged to be part of. And thank you for your support for the project as well.
And just so you all know, this will remain open after the meeting has concluded. So if there's you know, other ideas that you have, or you know, something that comes to you in the evening that you want to make sure you let us know, then this will stay open for you. And we'll compile all of this too and kind of synthesize it and include it in resources that we provide to the attendees. I don't have guarantee that I'll get it to you tomorrow morning, but definitely we'll have a link to the recording at that time.
Yeah, noting too also opportunities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and support climate smart agriculture and resilient regenerative ag. Those are all of the strands that, you know, really follow through. And those are the kind of things at a food hub, the kind of services they can provide to help growers learn how to adapt practices, bringing state and local partners in, or federal partners that have resources and programs, and do capacity building. So there's a lot of opportunities for how a hub can be customized.
All right, so again, this will remain open, getting a lot of good responses here, and some things that we've thought about too, right? And you know, we're excited too about all the possibilities of this hub, and you know, connecting with you all and figuring out how we grow this together. And now I will turn it over to the final slide that we have. Again, this is going to remain open, but the final slide that we have that has the QR code there for everyone to scan and fill out that survey. If you're able to you know, provide any kind of support to the project, whether that just be outreach support or you know, serve as an advisor, we'd love to you know, connect and get involved with you all.
And please feel free to be in touch with us or the partners, where Valley Vision is kind of serving as a coordinating point, but we'll be keeping the dialogue going. We're really, as you can tell, we'll be pushing information out, and we'll be having the next webinar when we have the results of the institutional procurement customers survey. And any ideas you have about that, we're happy to do that. We're working with California Department of Food and Ag, Farm to School, and others. We're working with our partners at the school districts and our hospital system. So really have a lot of opportunities to make this a really strong effort across the region. And we're just really appreciative for everybody being here today. And when we have the site in hand and know more about that, we'll be you know, able to give you the next level of information about that, and just kind of walking side by side with everyone as we develop the plan and work on our funding sources to get this project operational.
All right, and we are at time. Thank you all for your participation and engagement, and we look forward to continuing this discussion.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks to all the partners and participants. See you soon.